You just clicked on this video. You had thousands of options, and you clicked on this one. Does that make you less important because you chose this one? Does it make me less important because I'm not Marianne Williamson or Tony Robbins or your best friend? Does it matter who determines what is important? Expectations are hugely powerful in our lives, and we let them rule our decision making. But they're perceived. Are they real? They're perceived. We perceive expectations, and then they become sort of realities to us because they're actually constructs. We think people expect things of us. We think that we need to meet expectations. Where does that come from? Our earliest childhood, the atmosphere in which we were raised, the parenting style of those who parented us, and the greater environment that they placed us into, namely the greater society, the extended family, or the church, or the society that populated their world. Then, of course, there was school, largely public school, and that society, and those who taught the individual classes into which we were enrolled. All of these expectations began to define the parameters of our lives. Were you told you had a specific skill or gift as a child? Were you ignored as a child? Did you find yourself somewhere in between those two? Did somebody tell you that you could or could not do something? Did you discover for yourself what you seemed able to do? What do you remember about your childhood? Were you inquisitive? Curious? Were you a follower? Did you seek out other children every day? Did you prefer playing alone? I preferred playing alone. I was a self-entertaining, daydreaming, curious, inquisitive, reading, drawing, singing, and piano-playing child. I enjoyed riding my bike around the block many times. I enjoyed roller skating for the same reason. I could do all of those things by myself. I realize that's not everybody's story. But when I was in the midst of those activities, the notion of expectation was well outside my realm. It never imposed itself on me unless I heard my mother raising her voice. And then expectations loomed. They penetrated my consciousness and became a resistant force, a force that I resisted. if I was expected to clean my room or expected to come upstairs or come out of my room or go outside or not go outside or be somewhere at a certain time, I regarded those as impositions. And as we grow, I believe that they become forces that affect our subconscious and then become drivers of our decision making well into the arena of professional life. What do we think others expect that we will do or not do? What do we perceive are the external expectations? And what if we were to just discard all of them? Imagine for 5 minutes what our life would be like if they didn't exist. Not if the sources of them didn't exist, not if the people didn't exist, but if the expectations that we think they're placing on us were wiped away. With what would we be left? Who would we be? I recently signed up to have yet another therapist, a virtual therapist. And the last question she left me with at the end of our last session was, "Why are you still here?" Meaning, why am I still in my locale? And it took me until this morning to arrive at the answer to that question. I was returned yet again, as I had been many times in the past, to one Mary Englebright. Bloom where you are planted. For as much as we could not control the day of our birth or even the moment of our conception, we couldn't control where we ended up on this planet, where we were born and raised. Many of us choose or chose to leave the place of our birth, perhaps temporarily, and many of us chose never to do so. Most leave the place of their birth and they go out and seek their fortune in the world outside. But maybe the world outside only exists outside of our own imagination. Maybe the better place to reside is within it, within our own imagination, within our mind, wherever our body happens to be. I think that's the place to start. And if you haven't started there yet, maybe today's your day. I call these videos RuthAnnTALKS, kind of a parody on TED Talks, obviously. Perhaps that's arrogant, and perhaps it's just silly. Or maybe it's just literal. It's me. My name is Ruth Ann, and I'm talking, and that's the beginning and the end of it. Everybody's talking on the internet now. Podcasts are popping up like dandelions. And some of them are lilies of the valley, and some of them are crabgrass, and some of them are pearls in shells. But you came here today, and you stayed till the end. Thank you. I hope you got something of benefit that you can apply in your own life. That's the whole point, really.